You can see on your screen the weightlifting that Jake Shields has done has obviously improved his strength and his size. He's always admitted that inflexibility is one of his weaknesses.
Henderson has that right hand cocked, folks. Shields backing up. Oh, he's out! He's down! The big right hand lands for Henderson, and he's on top of Jake Shields. First punch.
And that is
first right hand.
Trouble Shields has ever been in, but look at how he rebounds.
Dan's got to do a toe hold or get out.
Let go of the fence, Dan. Let go of it. Put your hands on, don't grab it.
Shields has recovered quickly.
He's got to get his leg free here. Jake Shields is going to either try a hold or ride up that leg when Dan runs away and try to run up behind him. Shields holding on, trying to clear his head after taking a huge right hand from Henderson, who's well schooled, as you mentioned, against Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts. Yeah, and that chin that Jake Shields is always talking about is non-existent. He got dropped in one shot. Shields with an opportunity to find himself, to now reach down deep when he knows he's facing a man that has a lightning in that right hand.
He's tasted it, and he didn't like it. And by the way, in the future, Frank, you should tell us how you really feel.
Another right hand by Henderson backs up Shields. Wow. Shields is doing a good job keeping clean, tight stand-up, popping the jab first, and kicking the lower body again. He's playing the right game. It might just be the wrong time. Another right hand, that time missed.
Missile.
He gets the second one through. Henderson putting pressure on him, and Shields falls to his back. He's got to get an opportunity to clear his head. Dan wants him up.
The crowd loving every second of it.
Shields, uppercut. Henderson, ground, pound. Jake Shields in the worst trouble of his career against Dan Henderson. This is where he knocked out Henzo. This is where Shields cannot hang out holding on that arm. I know he's hurting. Jake Shields. You see fear for the first time in this young champion's eyes against this old bull who's putting it on him with 2:23 to go in the first round.
Watch your fingers in his face.
Shields' corner imploring him to shoot. I don't know, the takedown defense of Dan Henderson, superlative. I know he was a Greco-Roman wrestler, a two-time Olympian.
Shields has to keep that left hand up.
Watch your hands. Get your
He's
hands
got to
down.
keep
Watch
the
your
left
fingers
hand up. Dan is headhunting, holding him at arm's length.
Right now connecting on a 50% clip, 17 of 34. The majority of those powerful right hands that have found their target.
Right now, this is a good position, Frank, for Jake as he tries to clear the cobwebs. He's been knocked down hard twice in this first round. Yeah, he's not going to get an advantage on Dan in the Greco-Roman position, but he had a chance to rest, and he should have done something there. Henderson, a two-time Olympic Greco-Roman wrestler.
92 and 96.
So he's good in the clinch, he's good with his knees, but that right hand, the can opener, is monstrous. Jake Shields not fighting his fight. He's standing up, Frank, and he should be shooting. He can't get in. He cannot get in on Dan Henderson.
But you know what? After what we've seen so far tonight, I got to respect Jake Shields, and there he goes for the takedown.
There you go. Fight your fight. But Henderson somehow breaks the single leg and gets to his feet. Brilliant. Shields is in deep on that takedown, but this is Dan Henderson. 46 seconds to go in the first round schedule. Bad spot for Shields. He's giving up head control and he's pinned in the cage. This is Dan Henderson's strength.
I once saw Dan Henderson get taken off an IV in Japan and go on to defeat Yuki Kondo. He also defeated Akihiro Gono, Ryo Chonan twice in one night, as we talked about. A legendary fighter showing that legendary skill so far here tonight.
But Jake Shields is 20 seconds away from getting out of the first round.
And kudos to him for that, showing his championship courage.
Dan Henderson, a man Jake Shields grew up idolizing. He said that Henderson was one of the fighters that led him into getting into mixed martial arts. There's an elbow missing, and Shields misses at the end with a short left hook.
Shields, and Dan's not really blocking. He's kind of waiting for power, trying to blast him.
Now Shields shooting. Nice takedown defense. Shields, though, gets him again and wraps up the single leg.
He's still working on it. He's still running the corner, still running the pipe. He's going to get crucified here if he's not careful.
Dan Henderson telling us that he wasn't worried about being submitted by Jake Shields based on the experience that he has fighting in Japan and fighting in the UFC against the best in the world. Now Shields on his back. Henderson going for the rear naked. He couldn't get his hooks in.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was going to work. After all, Henderson has only won one fight via submission.
That might have been a mistake, him going for that hold. Losing position like this.
And the submission was a knee to the ribs, so I don't know if Shields has to worry too much about being submitted.
Well, I know Dan's got a lot of experience on the ground with grapplers, but one of the things I don't like is he hangs out in bad positions.
Wow, Jake Shields with the mount as he passed and got the side control and now hops on top of Henderson. What can you do from this position, Frank?
He's doing it right now. You can elbow that thigh. And let me tell you how Jake Shields' leg is going to feel in about 3 minutes. The other thing that happens is you unconsciously straighten your leg out to keep it from getting hit, and that allows you to get bridged over. Dan Henderson knows what he's doing. He just can't hang out here.
Now Henderson
can't give up his back either.
In trouble. Jake Shields using his jiu-jitsu. Henderson trying to bump up. Now Jake Shields puts his hooks in.
Yeah, and Shields, 6 of his 10 submission wins have come via rear naked choke. So definitely Henderson does not want to give up his back, but he needs to explode. He needs to buck and roll here, Frank.
Remember, Anderson Silva stopped Dan Henderson via rear naked choke when they fought in the second round. Now Henderson trying to roll.
Henderson's finding out the stickiness of Jake Shields, the ability for him to maintain position and ride.
Looking for the arm triangle, perhaps.
Henderson wants to get to his feet. Jake Shields is having none of it. Stays in the mount. Now ground and pound. Jake getting more confidence with the fight on the ground. 2:15 to go.
He's teeing off on Henderson here.
After the first round, can Henderson give this round away?
And he could. I mean,
I don't think against a champion he can give anything away. He had him for the picking. He should have finished it when he had a chance. Shields coming back in a very impressive fashion, taking this fight to his comfort zone. But you know what? Henderson did tell us he expected to be on his back a couple of times in this fight.
And he didn't care, but this side choke is getting set up here. The coloring of Jake Shields, he really put some energy into this position.
And he's scooting even further up.
And this was something I was worried about for Dan Henderson.
Henderson's got to be more active here, guys.
How about Jake Shields, though? Jake Shields is putting it on him.
Henderson has a tendency to hang out here, and it lets people advance and get their arms up real high on him.
Jake Shields raining down punches.
And utilizing that new strength to his advantage, controlling Henderson on the ground.
Henderson with no answers here for Jake Shields, who's been in the mount for about 2 minutes. Henderson afraid to give up his back. What do you do when you're on your back and you're mounted by your opponent?
There's a couple things to do. You can turn around, put your feet on the cage. You can bridge off the cage.
Pop those hips.
Yeah, you can pop those hips. You can shrimp. You can bridge. You can do everything but what Dan Henderson's doing. And lay there.
Round 2, scheduled for 5 5-minute rounds in the middleweight division. This is for the championship. Jake Shields, who was knocked down twice in the first round. The champion on top, Dan Henderson, has run into a jiu-jitsu buzzsaw in the second round. He's on his back. There's a hammer fist. Shields trying to answer. 10 seconds to go. Great confidence-building round from the young champion, 31-year-old Jake Shields. Very good work by Shields.